Good afternoon, everyone. It is Sunday, and we are recovering from a great deal of suffering, pain and suffering, grinding and gnashing of teeth. And I am your host, J.Ishiro, author and alien in a human suit. Beside me is the ever busty and lovely.
Kat Rocha, the night editor. Hello, everyone.
And I hate my life right now because,
You hate your life.
well, now I have to edit it.
Oh,
I'm looking at weeks of this shit.
okay. Yeah. You hate your life. You have reason to hate your life. At least it's through my filter.
Yeah, at least it is through your filter.
You get to hear my wonderful voice over and over and over again.
First off, because YouTube sucks balls, none of you know we're live, right? Or most of our listeners don't know we're live. Many of you have been unsubscribed, or the little bell thing's been unclicked for you by courtesy of YouTube. So please let everyone know we're live.
The little gnomes that run YouTube.
They're not gnomes, but
Imps.
no, that's still too kind. Anyway, as we all know, or hopefully you know, I made a deal with you. 50 of you review my book Scars, I will sit down and take the time to do a full, memeified, fully edited Adventures in Awful, just like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my friends, there are now 53 reviews. It is official. And Kat sat down and she read the third issue now. So she has read all three of Mom. We're only going to do the first, or the second and the third, because the first one is incomprehensible and I'm not going to edit it.
No.
It's not even really worth reading.
There's callbacks, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah, they restate the plot so many times, you don't really need to read the first book.
No.
So you're the one who had to suffer through it this afternoon and last Sunday.
No, yesterday.
Oh shit, yeah, you did. You did do it yesterday. God. See, it stops time. It's so painful. So Emilia Clarke's mom, does it suck dick? Emilia Clarke's mom sucks dick, yes?
Oh, I would say it sucks dick, but she's a sexist cunt who really doesn't like men. So no, I'm not gonna say that it sucks dick. I'm gonna say that it drinks that taint hard.
What do you think would be the appropriate treatment for, Emilia Clarke's mom? Should mom be dumped into, I don't know, a sewage pit infested by piranha?
What I would say, honestly, is that it censorship is wrong. So don't censor the book. No. Make it available to everybody. In fact, pick choice pieces and have them show up on social media around her at inopportune times, or when she's having interviews or other things like that. Let everybody know exactly what is in this woman's head. As far as the actual physical copies, it's fine if she wants to print more. I just want this entire first run piled up on her front lawn and set on fire.
Now, honestly, I don't think anyone should pay money for this book. It's so bad. Now, I don't know if I'd ever encourage anyone to go full Jack Sparrow, but I have heard there are plenty of places you can read this free, but it's just a rumor. Or if you're kind of a physical media person, trust me, this is going to be in the used bin very, very quickly. It'll cost a nickel.
Well, if our local comic book store is any indicator, they had like 50 copies of each issue, and that's not an exaggeration. And I think I'm the only one who bought them.
Yeah, so trust me, it's going to be crowding a lot of used bins.
JEC is already Jack Sparrow, so.
I see. So, what's a good pirate film? How about Long John Silver? How about that?
But he's kind of nice.
I don't know. Trying to think of a property that isn't Disney that involves pirates.
He was sympathetic to begin with. But anyway.
But you realize you have to kill me afterwards, right? Well, okay, you suffered through it. Let loose.
Yeah. Ask me questions. Quite frankly, you're telling me to
here's the book. Flip through it.
And
believe it or not,
to talk about Everest when I'm standing at its foot looking up. It's like, give me a starting point.
And believe it or not, this third issue was significantly shorter than the first two.
The first issue was significantly shorter, and the last
issue, you mean?
Or sorry, the last issue was significantly shorter. Not only that, things actually happened in the third issue. The first issue is just wall of text telling you things about our main character and how the world works, but it's so just disjointed, and it's so, quite frankly, cut and pasted from the cliff notes or even trailers of other movies, mainly movies. It's like somebody cut and pasted the cliff notes or trailers of other movies together and expecting you to treat this with the same weight and seriousness of those other ones.
There is a very, very sad attempt to make this a female Deadpool.
It's and if you kind of squint and I don't know, drink some vodka first.
Now, I am not of the mind, like Christopher Hitchens, that women cannot be funny. I think he exaggerated that just to piss women off, which was kind of funny in itself. But I am not of the mind that women aren't funny. But let me tell you, this book, M.O.M, really isn't doing women any favors as far as that stereotype that women aren't funny. Because every attempt in this book, this is an all-woman team, by the way, artist, writer, editor, letterer, it's all women. Every attempt to be that wacky Deadpool kind of thing, it lands with an audible thud.
It really does.
Audible thud. Oh, are you looking for one of those?
One of the rants.
One of those jokes that just dies on the vine.
Well,
that, and it's as if, I don't know if the writer and Amelia just don't understand how humor works. They're always just statements. There are never any punchlines. There's no lead up. There's no setup. It's just wacky statement. Would you agree with that?
Well, it's a combination of just wacky statement or people going on these rants that are supposed to be the James Bond bad guy going on a rant on why he's wanting world domination, but it really is like cut and paste, where it's like this paragraph from this speech, this paragraph from this speech from this other movie, this paragraph from this other movie over here, and there's no rhyme or reason as to why these things come together to form a cohesive thought.
We need to get Catherine on the show sometime again.
Yeah.
I think if anyone could commiserate with you about the pain of this book and just the idiocy of it, she would understand. But yeah, in fact, I will go a step further. I think one of the worst things to happen with all these women comic books is, for years, you've heard all these women, all these feminists really bitching that it's a boys' club. There aren't enough women creating comics. There aren't enough women in comics. And when given the reins, this is what's produced. We get what? America Chavez. We get, was it Kamala Khan?
Mm-hmm.
We get Man-Eaters, which is yet another book about periods. It's about a girl when she gets her period turns into a werecat.
I can't believe that I'm saying it. I'm not saying that it's a good book, because it's not. But Maneaters at least has a thesis statement, follows it through. Shit happens. There's a plot. There is character development in Maneaters.
I will agree that it's actually written by a real writer. It's just not sane or coherent.
No, it's not sane, and it's not really coherent, and the logic is weird, but its attempts to be funny, I don't find it funny, but at least it's a concise tone through the whole thing. It's not going, it doesn't have these weird quite frankly, bipolar moments where 1 second it's totally serious and then the next it's batshit crazy funny, but like doesn't actually land a joke.
I will say that at least Maneaters, because the woman is a writer. The woman who did Maneaters, what's her name? Chelsea
Kane.
She is an author. She can tell a story, and there is an internal logic to her world. It's a broken logic, and it's an idiot plot, but it is a logic. I'll give her that. But this is all over the place. It has no idea what it is. It's constantly contradicting itself. It's constantly pointing out its own flaws. That's right. Mom is constantly pointing out its own flaws and unaware of it.
Yes.
Which is really bad. When your own plot is, oh God, let me get the term for this. This is an actual writing term.
Shit?
What are you looking for, Kat?
Just something funny that I can read to show the audience. Can you hand me the other two?
Okay.
Also,
well, why don't you talk about the whole thing where
everybody out there, also remember, commas should be used when appropriate. Don't give your audience actual grocery lists of things and call it dialogue.
Yeah, this book goes into a lot of just lists. The characters just sitting there listing things over and over. Yeah. Another one that got me was the fact that she's always going on about her baby daddy is a piece of shit because he ran off, right? And then he comes back and the kid's never seen him. Plus the dude had plastic surgery, yet the kid recognizes him. How?
Yeah. How? The kid
how does that work? That, and tell the bit about how she goes on and on and on about hating this guy, but then falls for him the moment he comes back.
Oh God, yeah. Okay, let me actually read it. So, yeah, this book has gone on about how her kid's baby daddy, it's nearly declared, but mostly implied, that he has turned her out and was actually pimping her out while they were living in this trailer park. But he was flat out beating her when she wouldn't come back with money or with doing whatever it was that he wanted her to do. So, and you know what? I do understand there are guys like that in the world, but she's the one who decided to stay with him for all of that. And actually, her baby daddy didn't run off. What happened is that she allowed him to punch her, but her superpowers kicked in and she got stone skin when that happened. This one time, and considering her powers are activated by emotions, that means she kind of liked it when he would beat her the other times. But this one time, she decided she didn't want to be beaten, and he broke his hand and she ran off like a little bitch. And it turns out, then it turned out that she was pregnant. So he didn't come after her. He didn't try to pursue her. I think she said in the first book that she set the authorities on him for the child support. But other than that, she's never seen him since. And he shows up on her doorstep, and then Harvey comes home, or I think it's Harvey. He's had a lot of work done. And here I am, the reverse Beauty and the Beast. Not the beauty looking for the beast she loves within the man before her, but looking for signs of the brute within this absurdly handsome plastine Adonis on my doorstep. Christ, he doesn't look like an A-list leading man. He looks like a Ken doll.
And she wants to bone him?
Yeah, this is the man who turned her out and was beating her before. You know, like, yeah, score 1 for feminism there.
Yeah. Also talk about the fact that she never does anything for herself. She's a strong, independent woman, but yet never makes any of her own decisions, never does anything really for herself.
No,
everyone just does things for her.
Yeah, people do things for her. If we're going to look at the time frame that is Maya's life, her parents die. She takes all of the drugs and loses her goddamn mind and runs off into the night and never comes back because she's kind of embarrassed by what she's just done. Boyfriend in the trailer park takes her in and tells her, I love you, all this other stuff, and tells her all the things that she wants to hear while making her prostitute herself, and he beats her. Now, I think the one thing she actually does do on her own is she leaves him, but it takes something else to push her to do that. She doesn't just decide, you know what, this is a bad place for me on her own. And now that she has her kid, the job that she's in, she only got because it's the boss of her parents. Her parents were actually the chemical engineers, and her boss gave her the title of chemical engineer. And it's kind of implied that she's been, sucking him off or giving him favors in order to be there. So she's a high school dropout, never got a degree, never earned anything, got the job because her parents were friends with this guy, and she probably did him favors. She's got and then when she suddenly decides, you know what, I want to be a superhero, but I can't control my powers, she's not the one who seeks out assistance to become a superhero and control her powers. The cuck that lives in her apartment and takes care of her kid for her, he's the one who arranges for a fashionista to design for her a tracksuit. He's the one who connects her with some guru to learn discipline and center her chi so that she can control her period powers. He's the one who tells her, look, dumbass, your best friend at work actually is a chemical engineer and she hates your boss, so she's going to help you figure things out because she hates your boss. Go and ask her. The dude is the one who does all the hard work, and she does absolutely none of it. Not only that,
she treats him like shit.
She does treat him like shit. She treats him like a babysitter. And in pretty much every issue, she doesn't do jack shit. We are told she fights crime. We are told she's cleaning up the streets. We are told that she's doing all of this great stuff, but we never actually see it. And we don't know why she's doing it other than, well, she's a superhero.
I like this comment here from Catherine. Tired of women bitching about the men they picked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is a large part of this book.
That's almost all of this book. There's even a part where, the big bad guy is a woman who is kind of I thought she was Hillary Clinton, but it turns out she's Martha Stewart. And she, she has this big grand design plot. Again, her speech is honestly not very coherent.
Just the speech.
Well, see, at least with her, her motivations do come down to two things. One, she wants to be a god. Okay. And two, she wants to have a kid that doesn't disappoint her. Okay. You know what? Those are motivations. I understand now where this character is coming from. Everything else that comes out of her mouth may be absolute garbage, but at least I understand what she's doing.
And why.
And why. Unlike our main character. But there's a part where Maya, it's the big showdown between the two of them, and Maya goes, "But why are you doing this? You're a woman." It's like, just because you have a vagina doesn't mean that you aren't an evil person.
Sadly, when I was living in San Francisco, among activists, that was a given. That was assumed.
Really?
Yeah.
What, that you have a vagina, so you're evil?
No, that you're good.
That you're good.
That you can be trusted. That you won't do all the horrible things men do.
No, you'll do other horrible things.
I've got a really sad story about that, but it's far too depressing to share here. I'll share it another night just to show you how awful lefties are.
It's bad.
But there's a big list of errors this book makes that are actual writing errors. There are terms for editorially. One of its biggest is nicknamed Signal from Freud. Now, will you read that?
Freud or Fred?
Oh, Fred. I'm sorry. Oh.
Freud is very apt as well.
Well, yeah, I kept thinking about all these suggestive
things
in the book. Yeah.
Okay. Signal from Fred. A comic form of the Dishism?
Point to the word.
Dishism.
Yeah.
A comic form of the Dishism in which the author's subconscious, alarmed by the poor quality of the work.
Oh, Dischism.
Oh, Dischism. Okay.
It's a reference to the writer somebody Dish, a Dischism.
Oh, okay.
These were all written by sci-fi writers who knew each other.
Okay.
So there's a lot of inner jokes that
we don't get.
Yeah, so
alarmed by the poor quality of the work, makes unwitting critical comments. This doesn't make sense. This is really boring. This sounds like a bad movie. Yeah, this
your character actually starts communicating to the writer, this is kind of a bad story.
Actually, in the third book volume, let me find it. There was a great one. It's like, wow, some honesty. Where did it go?
Well, I'll answer some questions while you search for it. You need to be a certain, Casca says, you need to be a certain level of hot to get away with being unfunny or making bad drinks and get away with it. It isn't an all-woman situation. Well, no, I thoroughly agree. I mean, there are plenty of women who do skate by on their looks. But no, I don't think women are unfunny. I do think that men have a predisposition to it. And there's a greater requirement, or at least there used to be, for men to be funny and, I guess, clever if they didn't have looks. And that is true. Because there was always the guy who, oh, God, it's weird. It's an archetype, really, where there's the one guy who's average looking, but there's something wrong with him, like he's got a handicap. And in my school, it was a dude who had kind of a deformed leg. So he was in a wheelchair. Did not matter that he was average looking and in the wheelchair. His ability to get girls to laugh, he had no problem with the ladies. It was amazing. And the next thing you know, they're doting over him. So, I mean, there is some truth to it. But yeah, the women not funny, that's not true. It's just, unfortunately, right now, most of the women we do get on screen or writing these books aren't funny. Look at the Ghostbusters film. Was it Ghostbusters 2016?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not this.
JEC asks, if the guy was pimping her out, how does she really know? Oh, sorry, I botched that. My brain's dead after reading these damn things. If the guy was pimping her out, how does she know he's really the baby's daddy?
That's a very good question considering this guy is a whitey with blonde hair, and her kid has much darker skin.
Yeah, dad's a blue-eyed blonde, pale skin, and this kid's pretty dark.
Yeah.
So, maybe it isn't his. Okay, Sosabird writes, Mom explores the concept of what would happen if Dad actually came back from buying cigarettes.
Well, apparently she'd jump him right there in the hallway.
Hey there, Fair Maiden White. Yeah, YouTube is complete garbage at this point. They will not inform people, and they keep unsubscribing people. As Kat looks for a scene that she wants to share with you all, I will take this moment to quickly remind you all that because YouTube has completely destroyed our channel, we're constantly losing viewers, our view count's going down, we're throttled to hell. We have started a new channel. Now, I will say the new channel isn't nearly as offensive as this one. This is going to remain the channel where we get on the air and say things like, YouTube can suck my cock. The other channel is a bit more professional, and it's called Wordcraft. We primarily focus on writing. So if you're interested as an aspiring writer, or if you're looking for writers to get into who aren't woke, or if you want to hear us talk about trailer reviews because they're just fun, that's the place to go. And we've been doing content about, 4 times a week there?
Mm-hmm.
And we also run the writer's room on both channels. So it's down in the description. Go over to Wordcraft and follow it. And even better, follow us on ODYSEE. So you couldn't find it?
I couldn't find it, but I did get reminded of another scene that just shows how much of an idiot our main character Maya is. She makes such a big deal about how she had to bust all these heads and do all this other stuff and get home just in time to make peanut brittle for her son. And then you turn the page and she's got some person strung upside down because he's a bad guy, and that's of course what you do with bad guys, is you string them upside down in an abandoned warehouse somewhere. And he's trying to give her information and can barely choke it out. And then
Are you trying to choke one out?
Yes, he is, because his throat is swelling up. And then she realizes, it's like, oh my God, he had a peanut allergy. I'm such an idiot. I should have thought of that before I went and nabbed him, that he would have a peanut allergy and I was making peanut brittle. It's like, oh my fucking God.
And then they keep calling him Mr. Peanut.
Yeah, and then they kept calling him Mr. Peanut. Like, you just killed a man because you had peanut butter all over your hands. And you know what? It wouldn't be a big deal, except you have made it a big deal by saying that you didn't check to see if he had a peanut allergy. Why would a vigilante check to see if the people they're going to beat up have allergies?
Another thing that really bothered me about this book is the kid. She's always going on about how important the kid is.
Mm-hmm.
The kid's a prop.
Yeah.
She never really gives a fuck about him.
No.
The cuck, she's always leading around by the cock.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who acts really gay.
Yeah.
Does all the work. He's doing all the parenting of this kid. He's cooking for the kid. He's dressing the kid. He's taking the kid out to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's off having her career and trying to be a superhero.
Well, through her eyes and subsequently through our eyes, because we're seeing things the way that she wants us to. The only thing that you need to know that's important about this kid is that he likes a dinosaur. That's the only thing that's important. Samueli, what is this? A bad Lifetime movie? Womp womp. I usually hate that style of jokes, but it's true.
Okay, so
I mean, I can do more dramatic readings if you want, because there is so much of the thing is there's so much of these issues that's just somebody ranting that you can do a dramatic reading. William. So basically, the main character suffers from the heroes react, villains act concept taken to its most extreme. Yeah, actually. Only it's more villains act, heroes happen to stumble upon what the villain is doing because the villain wants it so. But she doesn't find the Martha Stewart character. Martha Stewart nabs her.
Oh yeah, you're right. She doesn't even track down the villain. The villain just grabs her and takes her to the base.
Yeah.
Does she do anything?
No.
Yeah, so is there anything in this book that she really achieves on her own out of her own volition?
No. I mean, her ex kidnaps her son. She doesn't even know that her son's been kidnapped. That's the thing. She doesn't know that her son's been kidnapped until she herself gets nabbed as well.
What a great mom.
So you can't even say that she, broke into the bad guy's headquarters and got captured. She didn't even do that. So, Fair Maiden, Cat's hilarious and clever. Oh, and big hug. Damn, Ishii, you hit the jackpot with that lady.
Yes, I did. Do you care to tell them how many times you walk out with the Tata's bear and I suddenly can't think anymore and you interrupt my sentences?
All of the times?
And I'll say things. Okay, well, if we're going to continue this conversation, you're going to have to put a shirt on because I really can't think clearly right now.
Mainly when you're working late and I come out of the bedroom.
And occasionally there'll be a night where I can't sleep and I'll roll over. It's like, Jesus, those things are big.
Yeah.
So, okay. There are a few other things I'd like to share with the audience that this thing suffers from. Okay. Going back to the writer's lexicon, here's another famous one. Squid in the mouth.
The failure of an author to realize that his or her own weird assumptions and personal in-jokes are simply not shared by the world at large. Instead of applauding the wit or insight of the author's remarks, the world at large will share in vague shock and alarm at such a writer, as if he or she had a live squid in the mouth. Yeah,
that's most of this book.
That's almost all of this book. Actually, I can read some of those rants that are that.
You want to? Find one.
Okay.
Find one that you can subject them to the pain. Oh, by the way, did you guys all see the Nerdy Nadim review of M.O.M that I posted a while back? Yeah, I know. You guys aren't getting notifications anymore. So, I guess, geez, not to continually pimp and push things, but if you've been missing the Nadim episodes, if you're not getting notified, I would again recommend watching him on ODYSEE. Now, and let me post that up. You can watch all of Nadim's episodes here, and I was quite pleased with the review I had him do of M.O.M. Okay, have you found one, Kat?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the first 2 pages of issue 2.
Okay, are you kind of stealing yourself for this?
I'm just wondering, if I need to have the whole setup, and I realized I do.
Okay, one more time. Posted right now is the URL to subscribe to Nadim's Nerdland on ODYSEE. I recommend you do it. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, you're going to get comfortable, kind of get ready for this.
Well, it's.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, that is
it's 3 pages.
That's almost like a novel opening.
Yeah, but this gives an idea of
Okay.
what you're in for. Okay, so Maya and her friend Trish, which I started calling Tess in the recording because I just gave up and didn't give it shit anymore. So Maya and Trish are sitting in their in Trish's trailer park, and Maya says that it's her time of the month. Yeah, by the way, this is page 1, panel 2. And I'm going to go from page 1 to page 3. So, dramatic reading here. Ah, the big shame. The curse of Eve. The time to go sit on moss for a few days. What if our bodies are actually just bad, Tiff? We laugh too loud. We have hair where we're not supposed to. We're hormonal. We're emotional and we're crazy. No, don't drink that Kool-Aid. It's not even brand name. Yes, that is a line in there.
That's so hip.
I can't read that line without laughing. It's not even brand name. Maybe I'd just be happier if I did. Just accepted it. Tried to fit in. Make myself smaller and quieter and tidier and more available. They just seem so happy, you know? By the way, there is no they. There is no they in that subject matter. There is no they that have referenced there. So, anyway. Okay, then her friend holds up 2 magazines. One magazine, entitled Buff, shows a guy with his shirt off. The second magazine, entitled Compliance, is a girl in a bikini licking a champagne glass. And Tish, whatever, says, one is a power fantasy. The other is objectification. When you imagine yourself as this one, by the way, you can't tell what she means by this one because it's just one image of both covers. So you don't know what she means by this one. By this one, there are 0 downsides. It feels good. It tells people in power, you're great. You deserve it. And when you imagine yourself as the other, you feel bad. The price of, oh, people might actually like me now, is your personhood and agency. You get made into a thing with no say in how people see you. But when you take the pictures, when you get to tell your own story, you have the power. And look, even dudes get fucked over by this shit. The same patriarchal order that tells us to obey or die tells guys that they can't even have emotions at all, that they can't ever be seen as weak, can't ever ask for help, or be soft or gentle or beautiful or kind. They get broken by it in different ways, but they get broken just like we do. Because, look, gender's a scam. We picked a pretty tricky way to make some people fall in line and do what they're told. And we'll make them feel good if they obey and ear fucking miserable if they don't. For starters, we decided there are only 2 possibilities for some reason. We're so obsessed with binaries, we think chocolate is the opposite of vanilla and cats are the opposite of dogs.
Who the fuck God, nobody thinks that.
No, nobody thinks it, unless you're in Hollywood.
Unless you're Emilia Clarke.
Yeah. As a girl, you'll be treasured as long as you're pretty and sweet and docile and tidy and stay on that very narrow, very wobbly, very structurally unsound pedestal. But one wrong move and you will fall and die, and you will deserve it. Tell everybody their bodies are wrong, their skin is wrong, their boobs are wrong, their bellies are wrong, their junk is wrong. Be ashamed of your body.
Wait, feminists? They're always going on about your boobs are wrong, your body's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the other thing, is it's like, you do realize that you're talking about yourselves, right?
I mean, last I checked, it wasn't patriarchy telling guys, yeah, your body's wrong, cut your dick off and get some boobs.
Nope.
Or telling girls, hey, cut your boobs off.
Last I checked, it's not gay men saying that.
Yeah.
Be ashamed of your body. Give us money to fix it. And once we don't want to bang you or use for chores, then jerk off and die, I guess. I love it when you recite poetry. Oh, there's my dramatic reading. There's more to that rant if you really want more.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm. There's a system in place that puts a handful of people up top and then tells everyone else to hate and hurt each other. Oh, hate and hurt and police each other to the ground.
You mean social justice?
Yes. And with very, very few exceptions, ain't nobody else getting into that club. Oh, fuck them. I wouldn't go even if they'd have me.
Well, she lives in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
She is one of them. Okay, so
that's it.
Had enough of that?
I can read more.
All right, so have I ever participated in national writing? No, I have never done no. I don't write that way. Let's see.
Casca, I remember drunkenly telling a bartender that she needs to show some cleavage if she's going to make such shit drinks. By the way, I didn't get kicked out. The old guy bartender started serving me good ones. Nice.
You rock.
High five. Humble Marty, mom sounds like that one mom that is never in the kid's life, and dad sounds like the guy who has a boyfriend, will divorce her and keep the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing is even though dad shows up, he actually doesn't do anything bad. He brings the kid to the evil woman and then stands in the background. He does absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, technically, he didn't even kidnap the kid.
No, he just said, "Hey, let's go out."
Yeah, it's my kid.
He didn't kidnap him. He said, "Hey, you want to go out with Dad?"
Yeah.
And they went and visited
the lady.
Yeah, the Martha Stewart lookalike.
Yeah, he actually didn't do anything.
So are you saying the hero is really the villain?
Yes, she is, and everything is her own making. Everything.
Just like all of these social justice books.
Yeah. Catherine, you can tell Amelia is a rich woman by the fact that she thinks it's normal for someone else to be raising her kid. Indeed.
Yep, exactly.
And the thing is
and she thinks it's normal for other people just to come to her and choose her clothes for her. Yes. And come to her and make her meals.
Yes.
Which is in the book.
And the funny thing is that okay, the cuck is the one that sets up all these other people, but you look at these other people and they're doing this not for altruistic reasons either. They're doing this because they are getting something out of it. The woman that designs her outfit is a fashionista that needs the tax write-off for giving to charity. The guru is doing this because, well, he's getting paid. And Amelia's friend at work, she's doing this because she gets to give a huge fuck you to her bosses who she hates. And she likes the fact of stealing from them. They're not actually doing anything because they want to be helping Maya. They're doing this for their own reasons.
But they're heroic.
Terry to Catherine. She makes going into a comic book shop like a gang beatdown just to buy an issue of Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's the typical complaint. It's
God. Tweedle, does Kat have a twin or a younger sister, single sister? Nope.
Unfortunately, no. But
I have a brother.
Here's the thing. In the past, I have dated women who were attractive and hot on sight. And I have to be honest, Kat was a diamond in the rough. She was the beauty no one noticed. When I met her, she was buried underneath a what would you call your haircut?
Ugly.
Was it a bowl haircut? Essentially. long hair and bangs down to your nose, and you couldn't see her body. You barely could see her face. She acted a lot like that character Sarah from the Max.
I really related to Sarah, right down to the horse.
Yeah. Okay, so for those of you familiar with the Max, if you know the character Sarah, that was Kat, but with more weight, okay? I met Kat, and I kind of was the one that said, "You know you're pretty, right? You know that you're actually very smart and have a lot going for you, right?" And I don't know why she didn't know that. I guess she just wasn't aware, and I was lucky enough to see what no one else did, and now she's a hottie.
Aww.
Yeah, sometimes that diamond just needs to be polished. You went to you know what? And the thing is the moment you got me, you suddenly were like, I got a guy now. I want to get in shape.
Yeah.
That shows someone with drive. And unfortunately, I think that day and age has passed for the time being, thanks to wokeness. That dating's very, very hard, and I feel a great deal of sympathy for Zoomers and millennials in that regard. Is dating is nigh impossible now. Um, Girls have bizarre expectations and bizarre assumptions of what reality are. Nobody's being socialized correctly, and young men, they do one thing wrong, they might end up having their life ruined or behind bars.
Mm-hmm.
A stray kiss or a fumbled grope could land you, in juvenile hall or in jail. And God, I'd be in jail now if that would have been the case. I've had that point where you try to impress the girl that the relationship's not going well, and you awkwardly kiss her out of nowhere. I think in this day and age, it wouldn't have just been an awkward moment in youth. It would have been a stern talking to and possibly a trip to juvie. So it's rough. At this point in time, I can't even believe I'm saying this. Probably the only hope right now is probably start dating Christian girls. Go to churches. That seems to be the one of the few last bastions where women want to be female. I don't know. Although, there's a lot of hope if you can pick a girl up at a gun range. Yeah, that's if you can get a gun bunny, that's pretty cool. What? The thing is when we went to every gun show I've gone to, women seem to come in two types. These kind of Pearl Forrester hefty women who look like they could just kill you with their bare hands. And then these gun bunnies, and they're all freaking hot and in shape. And very proud of how well they can handle their AR-15.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Oh, good point.
Yeah, who is holding up magazines in 2021?
Especially since the story takes place in was it?
That was a flashback, so it was 2031.
Yeah. I'm surprised people know what magazines are anymore.
Yeah.
I used to write for them. Okay. Marty's got a comment for what you just read.
I've got another.
You've got another rant for us?
I've got a rant from the evil woman.
Oh, dear goodness. Lecture. Goes on, boring book. JC, a lot of projection in this monologue.
Yeah.
Okay, you going to?
Terry, where's the armpit hair? That's a good question. It never comes up. You see it, but it doesn't actually factor into the story.
In a lot of the press and a lot of the promotion for this book, they kept going on that she has prehensile armpit hair and that she could swing from buildings like Spider-Man with her armpit hair.
That never shows up.
It never happens. In fact, she never uses it.
There's one.
They show that she changes the channel on TV with it, right?
She changes the channel once, and then there's a montage of images where I think she's lockpicking with it, but it's not. It considering.
Wait, that says it's her pubic hair, though.
Yeah, but it's...
Which implies that it went down her leg and up her...
Yeah.
You want to describe this to the audience? What does the caption say?
The caption says the prehensile pubes were to rid the body of unsanitary hair. Oh, that's the
villain.
The villain talking about what these... She was trying to make this drug that would make her perfect, and then there were side effects, and one of the side effects was the prehensile pubes were to rid the body of unsanitary hair.
I don't know how that works, but
I don't either, but it's like, where's pubes?
Yeah, it seems to make it grow like crazy.
Yeah.
But the panel shows Mom scaling a wall.
No, it's a window.
Scaling a window. And it makes it very clear. It just it says this is her pubic hair, and it's coming out of her pant leg.
Yeah. Well, more importantly, it's coming out of her toe.
I think that's supposed to be her going down her foot and up.
But why wouldn't it just come out that way?
Because the artist is shit.
Yeah, that's true. The artist is very shit.
Catherine's got one.
Okay. Every time I hear feminists talk, it makes me think, who has the time to sit around thinking about shit like this? These people, apparently.
Fair Maiden, I totally agree with you. That sounds wonderful right now. That or sake. Irish coffee is a wonderful thing. Yeah. Although, I don't drink alcohol very often, but I will say when I was sick last week, Kat did make me a hot toddy, and goddamn did it not if it worked. It worked, you know.
You want me to do the other?
Catherine, I don't read anymore until don't read anymore until I've had some alcohol. For those who don't know, I got COVID last week, and you know what? It really wasn't that bad. No. I've had a lot worse. It passed in a week, and now I'm just kind of hacking up the gunk.
Yeah, slight fever, slight cough. Done.
Hey, Buddy's with us. Hey, Buddy, how you doing? Comic girls are to be avoided. You know, that's kind of the sad thing is, yes, they are to be avoided. I mean, there was an era in which your typical comic girl was either Kat or Fiona, to be honest with you. And then it became this cool thing thanks to Big Bang Theory. And it was all just high school cliques and more of the backbiting and the same crap that high school was.
Shall I do another dramatic reading? Or
yes, it's time to do another dramatic reading.
Okay, so this is the bad guy talking here. Her name is Lucille Caldwell. And by Lucille, we mean Lucifer. I wish I was joking on that, but I'm not. Anyway. Okay, so I do have to preface this because you can't see it. The image on this page, because what I'm about to read to you, most of what I'm going to read to you, there's just 2 pages I'm going to read this time. The first page is just one gigantic image of her sitting on a throne with a crown on her head, a fistful of money, and a fistful of pills.
So Jay-Z.
Yes.
Okay.
She's got the purple pills from...
yeah. Okay, so keep going.
Okay, so you have to imagine that image with what I'm going to be reading to you. So Maya says to her... Oh, wait.
What?
Maya says, "Why are you doing this? You're a woman!" And she says, "Exactly, Maya, darling. And I know the pressures on women to be fair and fit and oh so pretty. The need to be a CEO and a stay-at-home mom, the cool girl and the #girl boss and trad wife and all that at the same time. I know they'll pay whatever it costs to live that dream. The world is sick. Everyone struggling, everyone anxious, everyone longing to be the glamorous cover girl or buff action hero. No matter these positivity and acceptance movements, the people still want what they've always wanted, to fit in, to do what they've been told, what they're told,
To do what they're told?
There you go. To do what they're told, to be secure and contented being what society tells them to be. And I can sell that to them. What resource is more renewable, more eternal than human insecurity? I can't afford to have you playing Little Miss Popular, showing people it's okay to be a freak. Once I've corrected the patented and the patented once I've corrected and patented the powers in your blood, I'll be perfect and powerful. No man can control me, and no woman can challenge me. After all, I had to be more than human. No emotions to weaken me, no attachments to slow me down. I had to become better than better, become perfect. And perfect is the only right way to be a woman. And then Maya says, "You're heartless, selling women their own misery back at them so you can tout gender equality on the Fortune 500? Look out, world, this human trafficker is breaking gender barriers." The key word in female empowerment isn't enlightened anti-patriarchal progressivism, Maya. The key word is power.
Well, she's being honest. That's really what feminism's about.
It is. It's like, that's the amazing thing.
You listen to feminists talk, that's all they talk about is fucking power.
By the way, there is no human trafficking. There's a kidnapping and being held against your will, but there's no human trafficking.
Yeah, she's constantly talking about human trafficking, and there isn't any.
No.
Okay, so I wanted to go back to this lexicon.
Mm-hmm.
Read this one, because this really, really fits.
The idiot plot. A plot which functions only because all the characters involved are idiots. They behave in a way that suits the author's convenience rather than through any rational motivation of their own.
And
110% true. Second order idiot plot. A plot involving an entire invested science fiction society which functions only because every single person in it is necessarily an idiot.
And keep in mind,
That's a new one.
Idiocracy doesn't count because that society didn't function.
No, it didn't function at all.
So anyway, yeah, I felt these really kind of summed it up.
Ooh, worse than an idiot
plot. Here's one.
Nowhere, no end story. Putting too little exposition into the story's beginning so that the story, while physically readable, seems to take place in a vacuum and fails to engage any readerly interest.
And while this thing is top heavy with exposition in the first book, I mean, it's just nothing but.
It doesn't tell you anything.
It's exposition that does nothing for you to actually read the rest of the story.
No.
Okay, so what do we got here? I got a fun story here about this.
Bar one, go to church is also Adam Lane Smith's The Prometheus on Twitter advice on dating. Flirt with old ladies at church and they'll set you up with their nieces.
You know, that is not untrue. That's kind of strange coming from an atheist, but my brother's best friend had a thing. He would only date church girls, and this was in the 90s. And my brother was always baffled why he did it, but he purposely was going to Catholic youth groups because he wanted to get himself a loyal, hot Latina. And boy, did he.
Yeah, he did.
And she wanted to be a mom. He got what he wanted. He wanted a hot Latina who wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
So it does work. But I don't think you're going to find a cat at a church group, unfortunately.
No. Terry Reese.
Okay, where?
That right. Fucking Lois and Thorne did more in 15 pages than Mom in 3 issues. Very true. Extremely true, in fact.
I'm trying to think about where I met various women in my life, or girls, and I guess high school really isn't the option anymore, is it?
I can't say.
I know you didn't date in high school.
No. And God help you if you tried in college.
I dated one college girl, and we talked about that.
Bookstores, coffee shops,
Oh, actually,
clubs.
I met her through a vampire LARPing group, but she was drama all the fucking time. Nice figure, but no, not worth the drama. I met you at a gaming group I was running.
No, you met me at a comic book store.
Yeah, but we got to know each other through gaming.
Yeah.
I mean, prior to that, I was flirting at a girl whose parents owned a Korean restaurant, and I'd go to their restaurant.
Yeah, it was not a Korean restaurant.
Oh yeah, it wasn't a Korean restaurant. It was owned by Koreans. It was a Brazilian restaurant.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. I wish I could give you advice, guys, but times are so damn different now.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say times are so damn different than they were 4 years ago.
Yeah. JC, yeah, I caught COVID last time. I caught the flu. It was easy 10 times worse.
Well, the thing is we had a friend named Michael. And he was part of a gaming group, and just kind of he would come to our movie nights, and it was Michael and Kirsten. Kirsten was very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Michael was okay. He was a nice guy, but he had this weird thing where he would not wash his face. Not only that, his bedroom was a shithole. And one night, and one night only, we let him host a movie night at his house. One fucking night with the roaches and the... I swear that was black mold in the bathroom.
Yeah, I think there was.
And the thing was, they weren't poor. It wasn't a poor family.
No, it's just for some reason...
He and his family were just slobs.
And yeah, his bed was greasy. The floor was greasy. There were roaches all over the place. There were dead dinner plates from meals past.
Yeah, you'd be outside the house. You'd think, oh, that's a nice house. And then you'd walk inside and it's like, the fuck is this? The projects?
Yeah.
So what'd you do to this place? We got a cold from Michael's house.
That was not a cold. That was not a cold.
We got a virus from Michael's house that lasted a month. Knocked us on our ass. It was the worst cold I ever had. It was so bad, I lost my voice. I mean, I could not speak for about a week because my vocal cords have been so strained by all the crap in them.
I know. I spent about a week and a half just passed out in bed.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was physically painful. I don't know what the hell we got infected with.
Yeah.
But
don't know, don't want to know.
You know, if COVID can't compare to that, I don't really care. In fact, again, it was annoying. I slept a lot, but COVID really wasn't that bad. Had weird symptoms. It wasn't a typical flu, but
you've been hacking up along.
Yeah, the phlegm's not fun. I've never had it be rock hard before, but
buddy, comic girls are not liberal ladies trying to virtue signal how great they are.
Real ones aren't.
Damien, a fistful of pills sounds like Lil Wayne. Revenant Pony, stay away from the liberal and progressive churches. Wokeness is starting to rear its ugly head there too.
That's disgusting. That doesn't. Ugh. That doesn't even make sense.
I'm agreeing with Michael. Hail lobster.
Well, you know, that is kind of the difficult part, to be straight edge, to be someone who doesn't really drink, doesn't smoke, or I never really was big on drugs. I had a little bit of experience with them, did not like them. And in college, because I had no interest in getting drunk, I had no interest in doing drugs, and being in the writers program, I wasn't invited to any parties because all the socializing was based on people going out inside and either smoking cigarettes or weed or getting together at a noisy bar and getting plowed. And that made socializing very, very difficult for me because it's like, okay, I get to watch people get drunk. In high school, watching people get drunk was hilarious. By college, it had lost its charm. I also think I would have done a lot better if I had not gone to college in San Francisco.
I think so.
I think I wouldn't have been so frickin' miserable. Well, okay, actually, there is one other. I thought of another situation in which I met a girl I dated. This one's unique. And that was Celeste. That was the one that I said is kind of like was a girl who was kind of like you and kind of like Becca, your friend. Celeste, and at her time, her girlfriend, she kind of was a bit of a swinger, but she was loyal when she stayed with someone. I'm sitting at a table at a coffee house I always went to, scribbling in this notebook I had. And I look up and there are these two women looking at me with these really crazy grins. And one was Celeste and one was another woman, her girlfriend at the time, or not even girlfriend. Would you say fuck?
Yeah, fuck.
There in the 90s, there were bisexual women that existed in a certain way that I don't think they exist anymore. And I had a lot of bisexual women say this. They would say, oh, no. Boys are for relationships. Girls are for fun on the side. And she was like that. And I look up and I'm like, I was really kind of like, okay, what the hell's going on? And I don't remember where it went from there, but the next thing I know, I'm out on the town with the two of them and two other dudes, and we're just hanging out. And it turned out they were vampire players and all this other stuff. And that was probably the only good social experience I had in San Francisco or in Berkeley.
Really?
Yeah. So in that case, I would say that's the one instance that the girl actually took the initiative in a sense. Now, granted, I had to be the one that laid the kiss on her, but actually, you know how I actually hooked up with her? This is an interest. This might be advice for guys. Of course, I don't know if this would work anymore. And by the way, I didn't mean it as a way to pick up on her. I was being thoroughly honest. She had a bit of a self-esteem thing, I guess. She didn't think she was. She had prettier friends around her, so she kind of felt ugly, and she was a little thick. And she was talking about it, and I just said, no, stop. And I think we were at Denny's, and there's a group of us. Celeste, you're beautiful. No, don't say that. You're beautiful. You're fine. And I just meant it thoroughly honestly. I wasn't trying. She was into me then. Did not realize it, but yep, that did it. But in all fairness, I wish we could go back to a day and age. I think it should be perfectly fine for any dude to tell a woman she's beautiful and nothing be attached to it. No expectation, just saying it as fact. A little soapbox on my part.
Yeah, that's fine.
Of course, I had to make you figure out you were beautiful too. So,
well, there were other things for that. Tweedle. I'm African and not born in the West, so dating for me is almost impossible. Interesting.
Do you live in the West or you live in Africa? I mean, or is it like the afternoon there right now? No, we have friends who are from Africa, so
yeah. Actually, I'm playing with a Hemu in half an hour.
Oh, so. Really? Okay.
Catherine, I ditched most of my teenage friends because I stopped smoking weed. All of their plans revolved around getting high. I understand.
Yeah, that was my experience in high school. Was that the first year out of high school? The binge drinking thing started, and I didn't participate, and it was funny to watch. But by the second year of college, this was before I went to San Francisco, and I was still going to the local college, and all the people I used to hang out with, all their plans revolved around working all week, and then on the weekend they'd all get together and just get plowed and pass out, and it's like, this isn't fun anymore. I'm the one guy sitting here, and everyone's on the floor passed out. At some point, you grow up,
Rogue Boner, to Catherine. Oof, I know that feeling. Friends are degenerate, and you refuse to be a degenerate. Lonely existence. Yeah.
The other thing that was kind of annoying is I never got this in the goth industrial scene or punk. All you had to say was straight edge, and they totally understood. That was it. There was no question. And for those of you who may not know, there was a movement out of the early 80s punk scene called straight edge, which then just became a term, not a movement, which were punks that didn't do drugs, they didn't drink, they clean mind, clean body idea. And it became pretty much the term for, oh no, I'm straight edge, don't worry about it, I don't do that stuff. And so you didn't get any shit. But the weird part is, in all other circles, if I turn down booze, they say, what are you, Christian? And I was like, what does that have to do with being Christian?
Well, it's that whole bit of,
and it was kind of like an offensive thing. What are you, Christian?
Well, that's people who are doing the drugs because there's something wrong with them. So if you say no, they think that you're judging them. Where in the, the punk scene and all that, if you just say no, that's not me. Well, who cares?
Yeah, because back in the 80s and 90s, the alt culture, and by alt, I mean metal, industrial, goth, all those punk, all those scenes was actually about kind of doing your own thing. There was a level of individualism to it. Yeah, you all wore the same styles and listened to the same music. But if you said, yeah, I'm straight edge, that was it. No issue.
Oh, because that's just you. It's like, okay. Yeah. And it's not a judge.
Right.
You're not saying no because you're judging the other person. You're saying no because I don't want to get high.
And if you said you didn't like something, it wasn't personally offensive.
Where I've found the other groups, they do it because, again, there's something wrong with them. And when you say I don't, they immediately think that they're being judged because in their mind they are doing something wrong, but they're enjoying it. But if you don't, then you're better than them, or they perceive that as you thinking that you're better than them.
That was the problem with some of the friends I hung out with. They knew I didn't drink, but some of them, when it was obvious they had a problem, they started getting aggressive like that. And it was very insistent that I drink too. It's like, dude, I'll puke if I do that. I have no desire. It doesn't taste good to me. I don't really like the experience being drunk. And the one year that I did, what was I after? The one year that I did drink.
You weren't drinking because you liked the taste.
I was drinking for oblivion. I was drinking to make the thought stop. Because I'd been screwed on a publishing deal for Titanium Rain 2. I was owed a fuck ton of money that I was never getting, and then my grandpa died. That was probably the worst goddamn year of my life. And that is the only time I drank regularly, and it was not a great time, but it did make the thoughts stop. Otherwise, I was going to blow up with anger.
Owen, hey, just got done watching Blade Runner: The Final Cut. Still awesome. My only complaint is that I wish there were more action scenes like RoboCop, but that's just me.
Okay, Owen, that's kind of blasphemy. I'm just going to say that's kind of blasphemy. But okay, I forgive you. As for Blade Runner: The Final Cut, that is a great cut. My take on Blade Runner is I believe all cuts are valid, and that you should really watch all of them, and that they're each really just a different view of the same story from a different angle.
It's like Rashomon.
Yeah, kind of. And I prefer it that way. I like that there are so many different versions, and it's just different views of the same reality or the same story from a different perspective. And I like that. But the final cut was definitely worth it. And I've got mixed opinions about changing Roy Batty's line from I want more life fucker to I want more life father. I mean, they both have impact. And I realized why they changed, went to the other line. And that was because originally, and they didn't have the money to film it, is Roy knew that the Tyrell he killed in Blade Runner was supposed to be a replicant.
Yeah.
And then he was going to look to J.F. Sebastian and say, okay, where's the real Tyrell? And would take Kim into this back room, and Tyrell was going to be frozen in the sarcophagus, dead, or not dead, in suspended animation.
Yeah.
And so that didn't get filmed, unfortunately. But yeah, it's all just interesting angles of the same story, and I like that. As for your comment about the action scenes like RoboCop, different, entirely different beast. But keep in mind the first Blade Runner, I have not seen the second one. I can't really comment. The original Blade Runner was supposed to be a future noir. The dialogue was written like those old noir stories. The angles, the shots, and the story itself unfolded like film noir. And what a lot of people don't understand about old school film noir, especially from the 40s, action was brief, it was violent, and it was ugly. You didn't usually have these long, drawn out chases or gunfights. In fact, most of the action was in the shadows, and that was intentional. Whereas, and it was a response to the previous era, which was the gangster films, in which you were seeing blood fly everywhere. A lot of the gunfights, a lot of it took place in the daytime. And yeah, there was long, drawn out gunfights, and you saw every moment of it. Was it Dillinger's a good example of that?
Yeah.
And so it's a different type of storytelling, Owen. That so it. I understand why you'd want more action, but it's kind of that would be kind of a betrayal of what it's supposed to be. So that's my opinion.
Casca, getting a drink and getting drunk are different. At some point, you have to outgrow getting drunk.
I agree.
Or really look into why you're getting drunk. Michael Connor, have you been watching the prosecution in the Rittenhouse case own itself?
Yeah, that has been fascinating. I was really worried he was going to get railroaded, but the judge in that case is awesome. I am thrilled that that judge is presiding, and I agree with you. I've got to wonder if the prosecutor's like, look, the prosecutor is representing one. The dead guy's a pedophile. There's a pedophile and a spousal abuser and a rapist. I mean, what are you defending there? And the other guy was an arsonist and a looter.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kind of wonder if the prosecutor is throwing the case. But yeah, I hope he walks. Rittenhouse was thoroughly in his rights. I mean, his age is a little questionable, but still. He was 1 year away from being sent to war.
Yeah.
He was old enough to be, so. And, there was a time when we had laws, cry danger laws, which would have completely justified what he did.
Catherine, yeah, if you're 27 years old working at a convenience store and your life revolves around pot, you're a degenerate. I'm done with those types.
I've never been drunk. 49. Good for you. It's medical reasons, but still good for you.
Been drunk once.
And you're not a happy one.
No, and you weren't even there.
Yeah. Oh, question for you, Kat.
When will you do an art stream? Also, recently sculpted a polymer clay rat and made a silicone mold of it. Going to resin cast it soon. Oh, very cool. I want to see pictures. As far as me doing an art stream, yeah, I need to do that. My clock is quickly coming down to being completed, which is nice. Although I can promise you that I am probably going to film 90% of me working on my ghost trap. So you'll definitely see me working on that. Is there anything specific that you want to see me work on? Like any particular medium? Also, are we following each other on Instagram? Let me know. I'm not sure. Boner! I personally love me some Baby Goose, but don't watch the new Blade Runner. It's painful and also pointless.
I chose not to watch it. I mean, the shots and the previews did look beautiful, but the scenes themselves they didn't have the vibe or dialogue that you would expect in a noir film.
Mm-hmm.
And the shots made it look like there were a lot of big action sequences, and that's a total betrayal of the genre.
Yeah.
I mean, the way they were talking wasn't stylized. It sounded like a modern movie. And that tells me the maker of the film didn't get it. No matter how good it may have looked visually,
Yeah.
he didn't get it. Ideally, I would have much preferred if they were going to make a Blade Runner sequel, barely have anything to do with the first. What I would have done is told the story in the Blade Runner setting. Just as an example, maybe a retelling of Out of the Past, where this guy who used to be a Blade Runner is hired to track down somebody's companion love doll who went rogue.
Yeah.
And tracks her down, falls in love with her, and goes on the run. And they end up needing to talk to Rick Deckard for some reason or other about escaping.
Mm-hmm.
There, that's what I would have done. I would have just told another small, that's another thing, is that noir films shouldn't be world changing. They're personal. They're smaller in scale. They affect the people in the story and those around them, and that's about it. And I don't know. It just, you see these chases. You there, the preview had this thing like, oh well, the world depends on it kind of shit, and I'm like, no,
I hate that crap. I mean, we just saw, was mentioned before, we watched Hard 8, and it was wonderful.
That is a noir film.
It is
modern neo noir,
and it was wonderful having a story that's just, it's not earth shattering. The fate of, everything rests on these characters. No, it's these characters and it's their lives and it matters to them. And I loved that.
What would be another one, do you think, that would make a great, you could do kind of a remake or a in the spirit of, in the Blade Runner setting, another noir film? Like maybe
Pitfall?
Pitfall? You think Pitfall would work?
I think Pitfall would work.
How about The Big Heat? That was the one with Mr. Brown. They deafen the guy with the...
Yeah, that one would work.
Yeah, I think The Big Heat would be great.
And I was thinking Pitfall because it's that whole bit of, he's married, but he's getting a little something on the side, and she doesn't know. And you've got Raymond Burr going after her.
Oh, I love that film.
But I can picture, something with that.
Or what was it, House of Bamboo, where the cop had to go undercover? Could you imagine a guy who had to go undercover among replicants?
Yeah.
There's a story.
There's totally
a story. He starts to get to know them, and he realizes they're decent people, like in Bamboo House.
Yeah.
Or it was House of Bamboo.
House of Bamboo, yeah.
We like noir films, if you haven't noticed. We've seen a lot of them.
Recently, I saw that documentary on Barbara
Gordon?
No.
Sorry.
No, in Too Late for Tears and
Elizabeth Scott.
Elizabeth Scott. Sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you.
She was great.
Found out why she disappeared.
Didn't she just decide to quit?
No.
What?
No. There was a rag at the time that made its money by publishing scandals. But it was like just barely on the edge of being legal.
Okay.
Where they'd get a picture or they'd get a piece of information and then they'd spin it to be scandalous.
Like Hush Hush?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And the rule of Hollywood at the time was if you get in the rag, don't say anything, don't acknowledge it, don't do anything. You kind of go low and you wait for that story to blow over and everybody to move on to the next story. What happened was she got...
Real quickly, I'm going to say, Kat's talking about a very, very talented 1940s actress, did a lot of noir films, named Elizabeth Scott.
Yeah.
Beautiful woman, a little underrated, but yeah.
She was an immigrant from Poland, I think.
Really?
Yeah. But what happened was that the police did a raid on a...
Speakeasy?
No, prostitution ring.
Ooh.
And there was a little black book. And in the little black book, one of the clients written in was Elizabeth Scott. And this magazine got word of this, no proof that it's her, but it's just the name Elizabeth Scott.
Opposed to Lizbeth Scott.
Yeah. And so they published it as her and saying, well, it's been told that when the police called the number, they heard her signature husky voice on the other end. And at the time that was scandalous. Her publisher, her press agent told her, lay low, don't say anything. She said, no, fuck you. And she got herself an attorney and sued them for scandal.
Well, didn't Lucille Ball do the same thing?
Yeah, but the problem is that Elizabeth Scott
wasn't big enough.
She was having hard problems anyway. She was really fighting being the poor man's crap. What's her name? She married Bogart.
Yeah. Lauren
Bacall. And so instead of being quiet, she sued them. She's like, no, I'm not putting up with this shit. Nobody really knows how that ended, but it's fairly certain that they settled out of court. But her career was over at that point.
I know that getting caught with weed almost killed Robert Mitchum's career, but instead he owned it like a boss.
Well, Mitchum didn't give a shit.
And he said, okay, well, I'll spend my time in jail. Came out and he somehow managed to work it. Now he's that much more of a tough guy.
Well, the thing is, he went in as a tough guy.
Yeah.
He went in already having done a lot of odd jobs, hard jobs. He was a boxer during the Depression to make some of his money, and people knew about his tough past. So when
it just helped his rep.
Yeah, it just helped his rep and made him look all the more sexy.
Oh, there is a happy ending to Elizabeth Scott's story, though. Mm-hmm. And that is, she was very smart, never got hooked on anything, never got a drinking problem. She saved her money.
Yeah, she did.
She did not have, a lot of these starlets retire poor. No, she had a great retirement.
I believe she owns a restaurant.
Oh, so she kind of did what Beverly Garland did.
Yeah.
That was cool. Back in the day when Hollywood stars didn't suck, they could actually act and weren't necessarily terrible people.
Well, people you could respect.
I mean, there were terrible ones, but not all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, Bogart and Bacall were fucking communist, goddamn morons.
Yeah. Rat was wondering if either of you have or heard of or read any of the Dresden Files and or the Laundry Files. Don't know about Laundry. I read the first Dresden book. Attempted to read the second, attempted to read the third, and gave up. Sorry.
Well, let me ask you, Wigrat. I believe you have. Have you read Case File Arkham 1 and 2? Just out of curiosity.
I have to say I did enjoy the first Dresden book, and I thought that it had a lot going for it. But definitely the second one and then the third one, it just seemed to be too much wow fantasy and not enough PI detective. So.
Which is kind of the opposite of what I did with Arkham, which was he's a detective who there's something about him, but we don't know yet, in a world that has, the supernatural.
Well,
but it's hidden. It's behind. It's in the shadows. It's not obvious.
Piers Anthony's Incarnations of Immortality. It is established from day one. The world is filled with magic and fantastic things and other stuff like that. And so, okay, got that out of the way. Now we have our characters and their jobs and their roles in the world and the troubles that they deal with. And so, quite frankly, the magic in the setting is just there. The important part is the characters and what happens to them. And my problem with Dresden is that it became too much about the fantastic things that he ran into and not enough about who Harry is and what he does.
He's talking about Blade Runner 2040, whatever.
There's quite a bit of action and it looked about right, but the dialogue and story was completely garble. JC, I hated Blade Runner 2049. It's 3 hours long. Ryan Gosling is garbage. Villains sucked. Plot is built around the love subplot from the original, which was the worst part of that movie. Casca, that is the problem with Marvel movies. They are all world ending. It got boring.
Maybe I should do a talking shop episode where I talk about emotional resonance and how the death of one person is far more powerful than an entire city getting leveled.
Yeah.
Because I've given that talk a few times and it bears repeating at this time.
I agree. Wing Diaga, have you seen the Blade Runner game? Because you almost described the plot and one of the endings.
Really? That's interesting. No, I wanted to play that game, but I was in college at the time and utterly broke and didn't have a machine that could run it. And no, I never played the Atari version.
White Rat says when he thinks of noir, he thinks of the Maltese Falcon.
We're gonna have to talk. White Rat.
That can actually be a whole episode.
You want to do I would love to do a noir episode. The problem is it's not a bad film, not in the least, not a bad novel either. The problem is that an entire generation, my parents' generation, or specifically the hippie generation part, saw that film and thought it was what all noir is.
Yeah.
And boy, it is not. It is not what it isn't even close to reflective of the genre.
No.
It's just one kind of story. And every bad detective ripoff that we've seen or parody is parodying the Maltese Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll have to make a list. But
I think if honestly, if you had to pick one noir film to say this is a great example, I'd say Double Indemnity.
Well, see, yeah, because that's showing an aspect no one seems to remember, which noir wasn't just cops and detectives.
No.
In fact, detective noir was just one small part of a much larger genre. And what you're discussing is the domestic bliss,
which I think is,
the genre where everything on the outside seems fine in suburbia, but underneath the shadows, it's a nightmare, or it's really sleazy. And that's Double Indemnity.
Yeah.
That's a great film. Yeah, I would say as a film, that's a number one. That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to, it's not necessarily my favorite, but if I had to pick one to show somebody to say this is noir, it's Double Indemnity.
Well, it was written by two of the best writers of the genre. You had Raymond Chandler doing the dialogue and McDonald doing the plot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course it was amazing. A couple others, I would say Out of the Past is a must-see, although a little long. And the big heat is probably detective noir or cop noir, refined down to a fine art.
Yeah, I would agree. Georgia, and I, a 40-year-old fan of the original, loved Blade Runner 2049. It is not an action film. It's about what makes us human, and it explores that theme very nicely. JC, do Double Indemnity in the Blade Runner world. I need to see the adventures of insurance adjusters in the dystopian future. The thing is that's not a bad idea.
Well, sure. What was Deckard's job in the book? He wasn't a cop.
Oh.
He had some sort of paper pusher job, and he was bounty hunting on the side.
I thought he did do like mainly paperwork. Yeah, but it was
no, he was no, he was just some paper pusher. He had nothing to do with law enforcement.
Wasn't he accountant?
Maybe. Although
I just remember him doing Mercer.
Yeah, badass insurance adjusters of the future would be pretty good.
I want revenue boys of the future.
Revenue boys of the future. That would be funny. So would the hillbillies out in the middle of nowhere have been a like road warrior?
Yeah, actually.
Okay, let's wrap this up so you can go play your game.
I'm not following you on Instagram because I don't know your account. Also, I demold my rat. It got some air bubbles, so I may need to remold the head. Yeah, that's the trouble with if you're doing resin. I mean, you can try, tapping it. You can try using a pipette. I know I'm just gonna have to break down and buy myself a pressure pot. But my Instagram is all one word, Night Editor, KNIGHTADITOR.
Okay, no, I've never heard of Starfist. I'll look into that.
That sounds dirty.
Oh, hey, Buddy agrees with you. That was your take.
I could not make it past the second Dresden book. It was basically stuff happened. Dresden does a cool thing in a cool way by being really cool sometimes in PJs. Yeah, the thing with the werewolves, just I'm like, ugh, I've read this before. And I just remember starting the third book and going, I'm tapping out, I'm done.
Well, Owen, it wouldn't be a mailman. This is a future email. It would have to be a courier.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of couriers, actually, an archetype of cyberpunk, which is weird that none of the games have couriers as a playable character.
Yeah.
Couriers are one of the most common archetypes of cyberpunk.
But Fallout New Vegas had it.
Yeah. I love the motivation. All the other Fallout games, looking for my father and heal the wasteland.
Yeah.
All of them. Every game, looking for my father and heal the wasteland. Fallout New Vegas. Somebody shot me in the head.
Yeah.
That's motivation.
No, they shot you in the head and they took your stuff.
All right, guys. Kat's got a game to play. Yeah. Real quickly, in the links, there is, or in the description, is a link to Wordcraft, our new channel.
Yeah.
Please subscribe to it.
And thank you all for joining us this evening. This has been absolutely wonderful. I love all your questions. We should do this again very, very soon.
Okay, take care, guys.